morning, students. Our today's topic is a wonderful topic of embryology in continuation only, truncus arteriosus. Now, this is also can be asked as a short note. Write a short note on truncus arteriosus or write a short note on development or formation of truncus arteriosus. We are going in sequence. The entire cardiovascular system I have divided in various topics, and those topics are in sequence only. And those topics are divided on the basis of the questions which are asked. So those topics will serve as independent questions, independent short notes, etc. So here truncus arteriosus, and this truncus arteriosus, we start with the first diagram, introduction. It is based on simple line diagrams where we have to simplify it. This was which we had drawn earlier also, and this is a very simple diagram in which bulbus cordis. In the previous segment also we had drawn this diagram, bulbus cordis. The proximal part of bulbus cordis, we know that it will develop into this proximal part. It will lead to the development of the trabeculated inflow tract of the which ventricle? Right ventricle. What about the middle part? Now this middle part will develop into conus cordis, and conus cordis is the outflow tract of both the ventricles, right and left ventricles, both outflow tract. We have seen this in the previous segment. Now we start from here in continuation, that is the distal part. Now the distal part is known as truncus arteriosus. The distal most part of the bulbus cordis is called truncus arteriosus. So this truncus arteriosus in the cephalic region, see here, this cephalic region of truncus arteriosus, here it will be known as aortic sac. So therefore we start with aortic sac, SAC. Now this aortic sac, we start from next diagram in which we have to show that, I will use the orange color. Here we show that this cephalic portion of truncus arteriosus, which we have named it as aortic sac. So here this is the aortic sac. This aortic sac, the most cephalic portion of truncus arteriosus, it will divide into two limbs, right and left. So here this aortic sac is dividing into two limbs, right and left, and each limb will be connected to the pharyngeal arches through aortic arches. So let us draw that. Now here, if I use pink color, each limb, right and left limb of aortic sac will be connected with these pharyngeal arches. So here we have drawn these arches. We are drawing 3, 4, 5 and 6. Remember to make 6 arches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 aortic arches which will pass dorsolaterally through 6 pharyngeal arches. Remember, initially there are 6 pharyngeal arches, out of which the 5th pharyngeal arch will disappear. But initially, in the early phase, there are 6 arches. So they will pass through these pharyngeal arches, and where will they open? They will open here in this vessel. And what are these two vessels here on either side? These two vessels which I have drawn on either side, they are called dorsal aortae, dorsal aorta. So therefore, they are opening in this vessel, dorsal aorta, here on either side, and these are the aortic arches. So these structures, we will name them as aortic arches, or they are called arterial arches. They will be known as arterial arches. How many? 6 arterial arches on the right and left. So therefore, our aortic sac is the cephalic most part of truncus arteriosus. It will, in the cephalic region, it will divide into right and left horn. right and left horn of aortic sac. Now each right and left horn of aortic sac is connected to the dorsal aorta through 6 pairs of arterial arches. This is our introductory portion. Very simple, introductory portion of truncus arteriosus. Now, what will happen? Now, the entire truncus arteriosus will divide into aorta and pulmonary trunk. That is the main portion. How do we divide the entire truncus arteriosus into aorta and pulmonary trunk? Remember, once again I'll repeat, aortic sac is the cephalic continuation of truncus arteriosus. So, in our second paragraph, what we show is there will be development of aortopulmonary septum. So, the second point will be aortopulmonary septum. In truncus arteriosus, the first point which we have described with these two diagrams, this first point was introduction. Now comes the second point. Now second point, I am having space here, so I will write here. Second point is aortopulmonary septum. So first I will write it here, aortopulmonary septum. Obviously, aortopulmonary septum is the septum which will be dividing aorta and pulmonary trunk. That is the main point, second paragraph. So after these two line diagrams, what we can come here, please come on this side. What we'll show here will be the entire aortopulmonary septum. How does it develop? For that, if I just rub this portion, and now I show the entire, first I'll show the distal part. This will be the distal part, and here I will divide by a transverse ridge. Remember, this is the distal, cephalic. Here I will show at this point, here I will show the proximal part. Now, this proximal part also, I will have a transverse ridge dividing it. And now, proximal and distal I will connect. First with the lateral wall, like this. So this tube is made. Now what is this tube? Now this entire tube is nothing but truncus arteriosus. What is this proximal portion? Truncoconal junction. Remember truncoconal junction which we had discussed with the development of distal bulbar septum during the formation of aortic and pulmonary valves, the previous segment. From there only we are continuing. So this will be known as, let us write here this as, which septum? Distal bulbar septum. We are continuing from distal bulbar septum, proximal. Same, distal bulbar septum, but this will be distal part, that is cephalic. This will be proximal, slightly caudal, and this will be distal, cephalic. Here we show the tube in this way. This is the crossing which we have to show. In this way we show the crossing. And why we show the crossing? So that we need to show that this entire tube will rotate. How is the rotation? Very simple. It is very easy to understand. First we show, see here, this is the cross section, distal bulbar septum. And we know that by distal bulbar septum, which we have already discussed in the previous segment, the truncoconal junction between conus cordis and truncus arteriosus is dividing into ventral and dorsal orifice. Remember that segment we had ended with this. And what was this ventral? Supposing this is ventral, this is dorsal. This ventral and dorsal, the ventral orifice was known as which orifice? Pulmonary orifice or pulmonary opening. Dorsal orifice was known as aortic orifice or aortic opening. So therefore, distal bulbar septum will divide the truncoconal junction into ventral pulmonary orifice and dorsal aortic orifice. And we have already discussed that this distal bulbar septum lower down is continuous with which septum? Proximal bulbar septum. Remember, proximal bulbar septum will be spirally twisted with distal bulbar septum. So proximal bulbar septum from the lower part, proximal part, will get spirally twisted and will be continuous with distal bulbar septum. That will be spiral twist anti-clockwise. That is also twisting which we have already discussed. So that distal bulbar septum we start with, and again the distal bulbar septum will again proceed in upward direction, in the cephalic direction. Now it will again rotate. Now this septum is again going to rotate spirally anti-clockwise. This is the word which we have to discuss. Spirally and anti-clockwise it will rotate. So how it will rotate? Now at the middle part, at this level, cross section. This was the cross section. Now here I will draw the cross section. This cross section was, if I draw the cross section here, this one, and here this one. So therefore this is the distal bulbar septum, and here I will show ventrally pulmonary, dorsally aortic in the proximal. Now in the middle, entire structure will be in this way. See here, this is the cross section in the middle part, the cross section which is there in the middle part, the tube. Now see the septum. The septum will be present in sagittal direction, that is in the longitudinal direction. So therefore it will rotate 90 degrees. How it is rotated? I will show that it has rotated 90 degrees like this here. We put the arrows in this direction and this arrow in this direction. Therefore this septum which was placed transversely will be placed antero-posteriorly, and therefore this pulmonary orifice will come on which side? On the left side. So therefore left, right. Aortic orifice will go on the right side. Very simple. So from proximal to middle part it has rotated. This entire tube has rotated in such a way that this distal bulbar septum will come in the sagittal longitudinal direction, and the pulmonary orifice which was present, rather now it will become, later on it will become pulmonary trunk, and aortic orifice later on it will become aorta. So this pulmonary orifice which was present ventrally will be shifted left on the left side, and aortic orifice which was present dorsally will be shifted right side. So it has rotated 90 degrees like this.